We're all suffering. Everyone is going through their own unique version of loss or trauma or whatever it is. A process that could be so isolating as grief. When you help other people, that's when you realize, oh, I'm not alone in this.
That's Carmen Alvarez, the Director of Strategic Programs, Faculty Affairs, and Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at Massachusetts General Hospital. Carmen develops leadership initiatives to enhance workforce well-being, engagement, and leadership development. Carmen's co-author of Happiness by Choice and author of The Happiness of Coaching.
When I teach meditation, what I like to say is that it's a time of simply where you let go of the resistance. It's not to say, I want no thoughts, but to say rather, I know the thoughts are there, but I am okay with that.
Brigham and Women's Hospital, according to their Reiki program website, has delivered over 40,000 Reiki sessions over an 8-year period to patients, family members, and even people working at the hospital.
Reiki is a form of relaxation that is thousands of years old, and it comes from Japan. What it allows us to do is to bring yourself and your body to a state of relaxation so that your body can heal, which is just so great for patients. When I say for the next few minutes that we have together, you have nothing to do. Your only job is to lay there, close your eyes, be loving to yourself. And people absolutely love that. And we feel in a safe space for someone else to hold space for us to put that down. What a relief.
Today, Carmen shares her top mindfulness techniques and tools, ones that she puts in practice with hospital patients, like meditation, mindfulness, Reiki, and breathwork. We'll also explore Carmen's development of stress management and burnout prevention programs for healthcare staff, highlighted by a successful mindfulness training initiative with the Benson Henry Institute of Mind-Body Medicine at MGH. I'm your host, Reverend Yuvan Bond, creator of the Enoughism podcast and author of Enoughism, This Minimalist Wants More. Enjoy the show.
Hi, my name is Carmen Alvarez, and I am a Director of Strategic Programs at Massachusetts General Hospital. I am also a well-being coach and Reiki master. I am so grateful that we are doing this. I really want to make sure that everyone gets to hear my story. I lost someone very dear to me, my brother, my baby. My journey started with loss, and then I went through grief on my own, and then eventually coming to the realization that what I wanted to do with my life was to help others navigate their grief journey and navigate their well-being and wellness journeys, and do so from the heart of someone who's been through it. Because I think, if anything, the blessing of having gone through something like this is that I can really speak to someone heart to heart about what pain is. If they tell me about the tears, I can say, I have been there. If they tell me about the panic attack you get in a random night when you're just sitting there and you realize, I lost this person, I'll never see them again, and I just cannot believe this happened, I can say, I've had many of those panic attacks. And so what fulfills me now is, yes, it's been a transformation for myself, but it's been very purposeful. I've done so to help other people. My dream right now is to continue to share my journey, so to help other people. And as part of that, I've been weaving what I do outside of my 9 to 5, if you will, into my job. What I do at work is I am program director, strategic programs. So I create, conceptualize, implement programs right now that support the Mass General Brigham faculty members, the physician staff, to address things like burnout and leadership development as well. Interestingly, in 2019 is the first time that I created a mindfulness training program in collaboration with the Benson Henry Institute of Mind-Body Medicine in Boston that is affiliated with MGH. This is 2019, after I've had gone through my journey, and I was looking for ways to bring this in to help others in my department. They happen to have a great program called the SMART program, and it's based on the positivity response to stress. It's similar to mindfulness, we customize something that I can package and bring into the department, and we can do together with the faculty for 8 weeks in an hour, because as you probably know, doctors are very busy, especially those in academic healthcare where they have to teach and do research and also care for patients. We've been doing it now since 2019. They have learned the tools that allows them to navigate stress on a day-to-day. And I am very lucky that I get to do this. And in fact, we just launched the 4th cohort of this program, and very proud to say we have physicians. We have expanded now to include also colleagues in the department that are not physicians. So our team members, everyone else in your care team, is all together learning these tools. One of the reasons why I decided to do this work now and to bring my focus to providing these kinds of programs is because when I was going through my grief process, one of the first things I realized is that there may be some resources out there, but one, nobody teaches you how to grieve. Nobody discusses what grief is like. Fortunately, unless you have to go through it, right? You're not sitting around thinking to yourself, oh, what do I need to do to get myself ready to grieve in case I lose? No, you don't think about that. Hopefully you have a lot of happy days, right? But for those of us who found themselves in that day, you were on the other side of that phone call to say you lost someone or something happened that would forever change your life. It hits you. It hits you out of nowhere, and it leaves you completely unprepared. I like to describe the feeling of it's like being in a black hole, like being absorbed into a black hole. You're in a void, except you're absolutely conscious of what's happening, but you're in this void, almost like a bubble where you're experiencing everything outside. You're aware, but you're unable to really process, and it's like a silence. I don't know even how to explain it other than to say it is absolutely isolating because you don't know how to articulate what's happening to you. Our society is one that likes us to quickly move on from grief or our experience and get back to normal life as soon as possible. So when we are going through grief, it's often a very lonely experience because we feel that we are expected to handle it, manage it, do it alone at home and get back to work. I certainly felt the same way. That's when I found that it was very isolating, and finding the right help as well was difficult. When I was feeling in that void, it was hard to describe it to anyone else because we didn't have the vocabulary to describe it, and we don't understand it ourselves as we are going through it, hence that void experience.
There are so many different kinds of grief. So you can grieve after you lose a job and your identity changes. You can grieve the loss of a city if you move to a different place.
Oh my gosh, yes. Changes bring about grief, absolutely. The grief process I have looked into and all the stages of grief, they are similar. They are the same, whether you lose someone dear to you, as was my case, but it could also be a divorce. It could be losing a baby, that's a loss. It could be losing your job or changing retirement. Yeah, any big life change transition, it is an end and a new beginning. All of these things bring about that feel of, oh my gosh, now what? It's this combination of having to grieve what was before or what wasn't, and then the uncertainty of what's going to happen next. I remember in my experience, that was definitely one of the most painful experiences, is that I knew my life had changed and it would never be the same, but I had no idea what that looked like. Who am I? Who will I be? Where do I go from here? I could not see it because the pain was so great.
Tell me how you push through to the other side. I know you have done work at Brown University, the School of Public Health, and working as a mindfulness facilitator. And how have you taken the tools that you learned also and kind of brought them to other people? Because it's such an individual thing. At the same time, I imagine there is a relatively universal aspect of it. Everyone kind of goes through similar emotions, even though it's kind of in their own ways, in their own time.
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't a very quick transition. I didn't go from, oh, I'm in grief to let me go and study mindfulness and be a mindfulness teacher. There were years in between, to be completely honest, where we're just trying to figure it out. One of the first things that I did to help myself heal, to start the healing process, if you will, was go on a solo journey. I took a solo trip to Peru for weeks. And I decided that overnight. Well, first I went to work right after my brother died, and I tried to just go back to normal. And one day a friend of mine came over and asked me, how are you doing? And I said, I'm fine. And she said, no, how are you really doing? In that moment, it's what I needed. It broke me open. And I said, she said, you need to stop. You need to not be here right now. Just take the time to heal. And I am forever grateful that she did that. So that's when I decided to take leave and do this properly. So what that meant to me was to go on this solo trip to Peru. No idea what to expect, only that I was, after transformation, I was open to healing, looking for relief, and I wanted to figure out what that next chapter looked like. And that journey was incredible because there were many tearful nights, of course, where I would cry, but also there was a lot of fun and adventure, which are things that I shared with my brother, things that he likes. It became sort of like a brother-sister, travel that really helped to heal my heart. And it's during that trip, sometime after I went up to Machu Picchu, that I decided what I wanted to do with this whole experience in order to honor him as well was to help other people. Still didn't know what that would mean, but I knew that I had to do something health related. My brother was an EMT with the Boston Police, so he himself was putting his life out there to help other people day in and day out, and he saved many lives, literally saved lives, and he delivered 8 babies. So I knew that what I wanted to do would have something to do with healthcare. I was already in healthcare. So after a lot of reflection, I decided that maybe Reiki was something that was could be related to well-being, wellness, and I could do it at the hospital. So I first did Reiki. I studied and I got all of my certifications, and I started to see patients at the Brigham. And during my time visiting with patients and providing this therapy is when I realized, you know what? Reiki is wonderful, but I need to help them manage the nervous system. I didn't know it at the time, but that's essentially what I needed to do, is to help them through these tools, these mindfulness tools, is to put the nervous system at ease so that Reiki could actually do its job of healing. Because obviously when you're in the hospital and you are in pain, there is so much stress and anxiety, your nervous system is on high alert. So that's when I decided that things like mindfulness training is what I needed to bring into my Reiki practice. And that's when I decided to study meditation and breath work, which has been life-changing for myself and everyone that I treat. So those are the tools that I now bring into the practice, that I now teach in every course that I do and webinar and workshop, that helps the patients and is transformative and simple. If a patient can do it while they're in the hospital bed, and I can teach them how to do a simple breath work technique that can put them at ease, help them sleep better, that will help them manage pain while they're in there, that will help them quiet the mind a little bit. That's just wonderful.
That's wonderful. I wanted to ask you too, because Reiki is being used in medical settings, in hospitals, like if a patient would like to receive Reiki, it is considered, I assume, like part of their treatment plan. Is that right?
Yeah, it does. It's interesting. I'm so glad that you bring that up. Yes, every time I walked into a patient's room, I always said to myself, I wonder how this will go. right? How do I position this to them so that they welcome it in, so that they can be at ease? Meditation sounds intimidating to most people.
Why do you think that is?
So most of the times what I find is that when people start a practice, be it breath work or meditation and mindfulness of any kind, they sometimes give up early on because they get frustrated with themselves or they think they're not good at it because it doesn't happen right away, right? But that's where you have to welcome in that self-compassion and that space to say, okay, it's not meant to be perfect. The thoughts, the intrusive thoughts can be here. It's my ability to come back to the breath that counts, not how long I go without any thoughts, which is going to be zero because the mind is there. Anything else is the visual that we have, that what we imagine when we think of meditation is what we've seen shared, right? Which is someone, sitting there like this, like I'm just positioning my hands like a monk or, a yogi. And so we have the idea that that is meditation and that, yes, that you need an hour to do this and that it has to be so serious. But in reality, when I teach meditation, what I like to say is that it's a time of simply where you let go of the resistance. It is just about bringing in balance and harmony into your body and into your mind. Meditation is not even having no thoughts. It's not what it is. It's impossible. Think about it. Our minds, it's a computer and it's designed to process information, whether they are valid or not. They could be from the past, from the future. They could be repetitive most often. So it's doing that job. So our aim when we meditate is not to stop that process. No, it's to be in harmony with the process. It's stop the resistance. It's not to say, I want no thoughts, but to say rather, I know the thoughts are there, but I am okay with that. And just bring your attention back to an anchor. The repetition of bringing your mind back again and again, that is like a muscle. What we're looking to exercise and get stronger is your ability and your capacity to bring your attention back to your anchor. When we say anchor, that could be your breath. The breath is the perfect example, which is why we use breath work for this, because the breath is there for you already. So it's something that you're already doing, and it's something that's there and reminds you of the present moment. Because the breath is only in the now. You don't breathe, a little from yesterday, or you don't breathe today for tomorrow. No, the breath is only in the now. And so that breath that you're drawing is every single time. So even if your mind wanders and you want to get back to your anchor, guess what's there waiting for you? The breath. It's effortless, right? Just when you feel your chest going up and down, I often guide patients to do that. Put your hand over your chest and simply breathe and notice. Do you feel that? Do you feel your chest going up and down? For most of us, it's an effortless gift. So that's the anchor, for example. That's how breath work connects with mindfulness and connects with meditation. And so meditation is being in harmony and letting go of the resistance. The patient, we don't know what else to do to help them feel better. They cannot sleep or whatever would be going on. I would go into the bedroom and the patient would be very agitated and everything else. I would turn off as many lights as possible, turn off the noises, put in some nice relaxation music. We would start with the breath work. And within 10 minutes, I remember once seeing a patient come in the ICU and she looked through the window and she was like, what in the world is going on? They just went from chaos, literally chaos. When I came in, they had called in pretty much everybody. And then within 10 minutes, the patient was doing her breath work and quiet and almost asleep herself and her husband, who was also in the room.
Thank you for sharing that story. Going back to the beginning of the show, what have you learned on your journey so far?
What I learned is that the journey and the process, the everyday practice, the journey of transformation, the being kind to myself, the allowing myself to be sad one day, but happy the next, and be kind to myself in the process. All of that, it is happiness by choice. It's happiness because I'm choosing at every moment to come back to the practices that reminds me that the now is what matters, that I can be kind to myself, that I don't have to be perfect. That's the happiness by choice rather than the happiness as a destination.
That's beautiful.
The only other points that I like to make with these are when you go through trauma or loss, sometimes what keeps us from evolving and from allowing the transformation to happen, right? The change that comes, what keeps us from doing that is that we tend to be afraid of losing an identity. So we're so concerned with continuing to be only the corporate version of me that was the strategist or the type A or the person who was, the C level, whatever. So we identify with the personality, all versions of you, different versions of you, that it's okay to transform. It is okay that I'll never be exactly who I was. I am better because I am a new version that allows it rather than the perfectionist kind. So allowing yourself the space to be a new version of you and being curious, be curious about what that new version can be. Most of the times, especially after trauma in a transformative experience, it is much better. It is only here to serve you and to lead you to a version of you that you always wanted to be, and you just actually never knew how to get to.
That's beautiful.
It is so beautiful. So it's a gift. When you give to others, you're actually allowing yourself to heal as well. So it is the most transformative way to heal, is to go through a painful transition. So if you're sitting out there suffering through a loss or a transition that is painful or trauma, and you're trying to figure out how to make it to the other side, I would say, think of service. What can I do that will allow me to be there for others? And just do that with all of your heart. Do that with the whatever energy you can muster that day. Think of others. And I guarantee you that in the process of doing that, your heart will open. It will soften. It will heal. It really does feel like your whole world opens up and your heart expands, and you realize, wow, once you open your heart to helping others, you realize you're not alone, because you find that everyone is suffering. We're all suffering. Everyone is going through their own unique version of loss or trauma or whatever it is. A process that could be so isolating as grief. When you help other people, that's when you realize, oh, I'm not alone in this. There's so many people who need help as well. I can be there for others. And actually, it's amazing. Science shows that the minute you do that, you also feel better. If you're having a grumpy day or you don't feel nice, be nice to someone else. Try this and be curious about the outcome. The invitation is smile. Do say the kind words. Start that conversation even when you're not feeling great. And I guarantee you, within a few minutes, you will feel better.
You've been listening to the Enoughism podcast. I'm your host, Reverend Yugen Bond. Enoughism is about having enough already with what you have and where you are right now. Questions or comments? Want to be a guest on the show? Email enoughismpodcast@gmail.com and visit iamenoughhism.com for more information about the new ebook, Enoughism, This Minimalist Wants More, now available on Amazon Kindle. You are enough.